and welcome back to another weekly edit. This week I'm going to be editing an image in the sister program to Pixelmator Pro from a week or two back. It's called Photomator, and it is what you would call more of a Lightroom replacement. Well, not replacement, but similar to Lightroom. If you remember from Pixelmator, which is more a pixel-based editor like Photoshop, Photomator is essentially the Lightroom equivalent. So you can bulk manage images, and you can also do bulk edits, etc. Yeah. For this edit, I'm not going to be comparing it every step of the way to the steps in Lightroom or the editing flow in Lightroom like I have done in the past, just to save a bit of time. But I'm excited to show you Photomator. It's also just a once-off purchase. I'll put it down in the description. Really fluid program, nice to work with. It's also integrated sort of natively with the Apple ecosystem. Mac only again, sorry, Windows users. So yeah, let's jump into it and I will show you how it works as best I can. And yeah, we'll see what happens in future. So as you can see, I've got Photomator open here. This is actually from a ski tour last winter in our region, but this is not the image I want to edit. So I'm just going to, okay, well, actually while I'm here, so the interesting thing about Photomator is that originally it sort of natively integrated with Apple Photos. You couldn't actually edit images from external hard drives or from any other location. But within the roadmap, they've developed it further that now you can import images or point it towards images on external hard drives or in folders on your computer. So let me show that to you quickly. So before, if you see in the top left here, it says files, but before the only option you had was photos. So if we click on that, it will open what seems to be our camping trip in Annecy in France, a little earlier this year when it was still summer. So, but the great thing is, so as you would edit here, it would actually sync across Apple Photos, which was great. So you can carry on with your editing wherever, but you could only edit the images that you have in Apple Photos, which obviously created a lot of interesting ways people try to manage the images, importing raw files, so which bulked up their iCloud storage, etc., etc. So Photomator made it to where, sorry, I'm just saying something is red there on my display. Anyway, seems to be okay. So Photomator developed the ability, or added the ability, to edit images on the native hard drive or on external drives, essentially like you would be able to in Lightroom. So let's switch back to files, and then you can see down the left hand here, you can have all files. I still have some other images in here and some folders that I've imported from before. So you also have to point it towards the folders where you have images stored that you want to edit. It's not an extensive, you basically just add the folder. It's not an extensive process like in Lightroom. So let's go here. So the image I wanted to edit is going to be, I added the root folder, not the parent folder. So it's going to be in this original folder. It was actually on this, so where we have the ski tour, and the image I want to show you or edit in Photomator this week is also, it was captured on ski tour, actually in the valley behind our house, last winter or the winter before. And it was captured on a Micro Four Thirds sensor camera, the Panasonic G9, of which I actually own two. Really nice camera. It's my sort of my go-to camera for going sort of on hikes and ski tours, etc. Light and very capable. Yeah, so all we need to do is select it. So yeah, you can increase the thumbnail size, etc., etc. But we're here for the editing, so you double click on it, open the image up large, and then along the top right here, very similar to Pixelmator, you also have, do you have a workspace? I forgot to check that actually. Let's have a quick look. Overlays, histogram, photos. No, it's pretty much photocentric program. So in Pixelmator, sorry, you have different workspaces. So in Photomator, it's pretty much all about image editing. So you can AI edit the image here with machine learning. Let's click on that, see what that does. It's thinking, not bad actually, that white balance is not far off. So quickly do a before after. What do you do before after? Oh, interesting. It's open. Okay, so that's machine learning. So there we go. Off, on, not bad, but I think there's more we can do when we manually edit it. We have the probably healing tool or clone tool, repair tool, excuse me, clone tool, there we go, crop, and what we're all here for, the editing tool, color adjustments. Click on that and it immediately opens up all the similar tools or the same tools you would have seen in Pixelmator. Most of the stuff that you have in Lightroom, I don't want to lock that, is here. So we can just switch it off quickly, collapse everything. So we have white balance, basic adjustments, which is like your exposure, highlight, shadows, etc. going down, but we'll get to those. So let's just open up some tabs here. And interestingly, you also have layers. So we have the raw layer. Let's add a layer just for, no, it's just out of screen. So an adjustment layer. What else can we add? Select, so we can do select subject. Sorry, you can't see that. Select subject, select sky, select background. So similar to Lightroom, brush, linear gradient, and a radial gradient filter, as well as select a color range. Let me quickly bring that in, actually, just like that. So let's have a look. So in terms of layers, we can add select subject, select sky, select background, brush, gradient, linear gradient, radial, and color range. Okay, so let's take that apart, edge of the screen, there we go. So I'm going to keep the original raw layer unaffected. Now with color adjustments, let's crack on, shall we? Temperature wise, so for my, reminding myself again quickly, so vision for the edit. What I want to do here is basically just enhance what's there. This is a landscape image captured on ski tour. All I want to do is enhance the elements that were there. I don't want to do any sort of weird and funky stuff to it. So it's basically going to be, sort of exposure, highlight, shadows. I want to darken the shadows, bring the highlights or the whites up a little bit, maybe bring the sky down, we'll see. Enhance overall contrast, and probably, can we double click? Yeah. I mean, sharpness overall is not bad. Maybe I'll add a bit of sharpness, but yeah. But what I'm really excited for here is the black and white. This is going to be a beautiful black and white, I think, with this fence leading the eye into the frame up to the peak, and then that highlight sort of just pulling a bit to the right and then out of frame. It's a nice journey through the image for the viewer. What am I doing? Well, not doing too bad for time. Longer than most videos, but not bad for me. Okay, so overall, I think you can agree this image is quite on the cool side. We have the histogram top left here. So you can also AI edit or machine learn edit each individual module. So let's see what it does there. No. So I want to warm this up definitely. Go about there. I'm looking at the highlight section here. The shadows are going to be naturally cooler, but I think we can agree there, even the highlights are quite cool. So just about there, 13%. The tint, I'm going to quickly do my little trick, which you might be familiar with. So we take saturation and vibrance all the way up. Now we can see it's still quite cool in the highlights. So there we go, just a bit of highlights creeping into the whites and the highlights there. A bit of yellow creeping into the highlights and the whites there, sorry. Now I can see the tint. It's quite magenta or purple, so I'm going to take that a little bit towards the green side, about there. Now, let's zero those out. Yeah, perfect. I think you can agree that's a lovely neutral white balance. Let's switch it off quickly from there to there. Good stuff. Okay, that doesn't give me a line, the before after up here. Just before after. Okay, exposure wise, I want to take that up a little bit. I'm literally just talking through as I am approaching this image. I haven't done any pre-edit here. So highlights, maybe take that down a tad. Shadows, for this one, I'm going to open them up slightly for the color edit. Brightness, which is sort of mid-tones, definitely want to take that up slightly. Let's see. So actually see. Grayscale, no, doesn't have any warnings, it seems. There we go. Being real with you guys, showing you as I'm learning. Contrast, let's see what contrast does. It's actually not it's not as aggressive as Lightroom, in my opinion. I mean, I can add this via the tone curve as well, but I'm actually just going to pull that contrast up there. Don't be afraid of a contrast slider, guys. It's not as evil as a lot of people make it out to be. Black point, take that down. I'm going to do that a bit too far and then swing it. Sorry, unlike Lightroom, it's the opposite way, so push it up. I like what it's doing in the shadows, so I'm going to leave that about there. Texture, I'm going to leave alone. Clarity, I'm going to zoom it to 100%. So let's keep an eye on the fence here. Clarity, boom, boom, zoom out. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, maybe to about 10. Selective clarity is where we can do in the shadows, midtones, highlights. I'm not concerned about that for this image. I'm not that sophisticated, leave that alone. Use saturation. Often with snow images or images in winter where there's snow, I find even vibrance, if you take it up, it starts to do weird things. You can see it's throwing the colors off a little bit there. So let's leave that alone. Selective color. Is there anything I want to selectively color here? Would be a bit like color mixer maybe in Lightroom. Maybe in the shadows, the blues actually. So let's take the blues. So then let's adjust the brightness to see. So see it's literally out in the shadows in the sky. So this is going to do the shadows and the sky. I don't want to, well, let's just see. Not bad. Too much of a overall global adjustment, so let's leave that alone. Color balance, which is going to be the color grading. Here is actually where I'm going to address that. And the shadow is still a bit cool for me. So we have highlights, midtone, shadows, or we can select them individually. Let's go to shadow. But then it changes from the wheel. Ah, yes, I remember in Photomator did that as well. So let's stick with the wheels for the sake of clarity, the color wheels. So highlights, midtone, shadows, take that a little bit towards warm side, I said, apologies, warm side. Then we can adjust the saturation as well, individually, a little bit up, and brightness as well. Just like that, so. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Color balance, there we go. Perfect. So far, we've gone from there to there. Levels, I'm going to leave alone. Maybe the white point, what happens if we bring that in? Ooh, it's actually had a nice bit of contrast. So once we reach the foot of the histogram there, it's going to start blowing out the highlights, as you can see sort of around there. And I also don't want to be that aggressive, so I'm just going to take it to about there. Highlights, shadows, midtones, and then in between. So that's before levels, after levels. Oh, thank you very much, levels. I think we could have done the same with the tone curve, but we'll leave that there. I don't want to replace any color, but you could select a color to replace and then select the color to replace it with. Fade is quite a nice little, so immediately, oh, sorry, I'm interrupting myself. So fade is like when you would go to the tone curve. So let's just zero that out. And you would lift the black point up just a tad like that. Bring it down. So that would be like a fade. So let's just reset that. So in this case, I think because it's such a popular effect, Photomator and Pixelmator, I've got a dedicated little module for that. So in the blacks, we pull that up. So let's have a look over here. It's actually a very subtle effect. No wonder they leave it at 100%. So that's before, after. Zoom in and see what it does. Bad. Let's leave it then. I'm just going to leave it on. And black and white we're going to get through. Color monochrome. It's like a photo filter almost, I think. So you can select from different colors here. So this is sort of a sepia. So you could do like an orange, like a warming filter. And then you would adjust the intensity. So just about, so let's say 5-10%. And then if we go do it before, after, yeah, not really something I'm into, so switch that off. Channel mixer, yeah, not really for this image. Not a complicated guy when it comes to editing. I think like you maybe have realized or by now, if you've been following the weekly edit series. LUTs are, I think if you do any video editing or photo editing, you're familiar with LUTs. It's sort of just different effects you apply to the image, and then you can see cinematic 5, and then you can adjust the intensity. It's actually removing a bit of that color cast. So I don't normally apply LUTs, but actually let's maybe leave it there. And vignette, quite strong. So immediately, softness all the way up is good. Exposure, I'm going to take that up just to see what I'm doing. Softness, So let's take softness down. Exposure to both black one. Let's do it there. Okay, so it doesn't give you an option to, how do you say, to move the vignette. It just automatically applies it to the center of the frame. I'm not going to do that. Sharpen, like I mentioned, sharpening is actually not too bad. If we toggle that on, you can see it sort of snaps into focus there, or into sharpness. It's a bit strong, so I'm just going to take that down to about 1. Zoom back in. Great. And again, I mean, image is a little bit, it's not noisy, it's just grain, but it's sorry, let me zoom in again. It's a pleasing grain. So I'm definitely not averse to any grain in my image. I quite like grain or noise. I mean, it's just natural, isn't it? We can add more grain if we want. Coming up next. So let's go to the sky. Sorry about that. Go to the sky. Grain. That's aggressive. So quite a big size. We'll do to about 15. Intensity 10. So you can see now immediately the image itself doesn't actually look very noisy. It's just got some normal grain, noise, image noise, digital image noise, and then we toggle the grain on, just adds a little bit of extra. And sometimes you can, if you look on the ridge here, normally you would think, okay, it's sharp, it's in focus, but if you add that bit of grain, it actually becomes just a little bit more sharp. So adding grain to an image is actually often a way to improve the perceived sharpness of it. Don't be afraid of adding a bit of grain. And then the nice thing about Photomator, we've done all these adjustments on a separate layer, so we can toggle that off. That was the original raw. Toggle that on. Those are the color adjustments. Or we can also take, if we were just to edit the raw image, we could adjust the intensity. But because the adjustments are on the layer, we can also reduce the intensity like that. And you can see the bottom slider sliding along as well there. Okay, so I think as far as the color edit goes, I think I'm pretty happy with that. But for the sake of trying different things, so on the top here we have match colors, denoise. Where was I? Denoise, export, copy adjustments. So that's where we copy adjustments, sorry. Slip of the finger there to the next image. Place adjustments, auto crop, which is an AI feature. Increase resolution, which is like supersize, rotate, export. So a lot of it's, a lot of similar features to Lightroom, yet different. On the one hand, it's a nice additional program to add to the editing suite, or editing programs if you own more than one like me, or replace Lightroom in its entirety along with Photomator, so like a Lightroom Photoshop combo essentially. It also has the gradients like I mentioned, or the radial filters, radial and linear gradient. So I spoke about the vignette, which you couldn't actually change the focal point from the center. So let's try and add a vignette via radial filter, like we do in Lightroom, or I do in Lightroom. So let's go linear gradient. So add that on a layer. Yeah, also adds that linear gradient. Nice one, Sim. So let's delete that, sorry. My words are getting mixed up this time of the evening. Sorry, yeah, it's a little bit later. Radial gradient, apologies. So it immediately adds it on a separate layer, which is quite nice. And you can see the mask there in red, move it around, and you can change the shape as well. So this is Alt Shift possibly. So if you Alt Shift, you keep the proportions. So I'm going to do that. Alt Shift again, take it out a bit more. White, gray, so there's just some options there. Invert mask. Can I not change the feathering? Am I being not smart as I'm sitting here editing this image? No, troubleshooting isn't helping. Okay. So, radial gradient. Let's just quickly do. Sorry guys, just quickly go there. So we'll go radial, alter, Photomator, feather. Radial filter, Pixelmator community. Let's see what they say. Hi there. Familiar with that? No, I think this seems a bit older. Anyway, let's not waste any more time on that. Oh, Alpine dispatches are open as well. Okay, so the feather is anyway more or less where I wanted, but I was just keen to see if we can feather it. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. I'm obviously not smart enough this time of the evening to figure it out. So what I want to do here is actually, so first I'm going to do the brightness, not the exposure. So I'm going to increase the brightness because that's going to be my center of frame. Then I'm going to go here, I'm going to duplicate and invert. I'm going to move this just off a little bit. Yeah, you can also rename by double clicking on it. Outer radial and inner. So for the outer one, I am going to darken it also via brightness. So zero that out and do that. The reason I'm using brightness is a much more subtle effect. Okay. So that's before the vignette added via radial filter, and that's after. And go back to that layer. No, sorry. Let's go back up there. That is before, after. Okay, great. So then with the layers I'm going to select, can I select all? Nope. Okay, learning as we go along. Ah, there's the feather, look at that. It's staring me in the face all along. Sorry guys. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so you can adjust the feather. There we go. Now, what we want to do is the black and white edit. So, again, like usual, where are we? A little bit long. Color edit done. If that's all you're here for, thank you very much. I'm going to crack on with the black and white, which I mentioned originally was what I'm excited about. So, we could do it via just go here, desaturate. That's on the radial filter now. Why? So can I not duplicate, rename, blah blah, subtract. Okay, so essentially these effects, as I'm just thinking to myself here, are applied to the raw layer. So let's, okay. So let's add another color adjustment layer. So we're going to go to adjustments, and then we're going to drag this to the top. And then we're going to do, okay, so it's got layers, but not quite like duplicating the actual raw layer. So now I have a neutral adjustments layer at the top of all the adjustments we've done. Now on this one, I'm going to go and do, and there's no adjustments applied. So I'm going to actually switch everything off here. All I'm going to do is activate the black and white module. So quite neutral. And I definitely want to add a lot of more contrast here. Let's just take a green channel up all the way. Tone, what's tone going to do? So tone is going to bring that down. Not bad. So default black and white conversion. Not bad. Definitely want to add more contrast and introduce some character into those blacks. Okay, so if we go to, let's do levels. I'm going to take that, this is on the left here is the black point, I'm going to take that in. And on the white point, I'm going to take that in as well. Don't want to blow them out. And with the mid-tones, take a bit to the right, that's to the left, opening up to the right, bring them down. So I'm not too concerned with the blacks. Definitely don't want them to be completely illegible, but I do want them to be quite dark. I really want this sunny area or this highlight area here to stand out, as it helps the eye move into the frame to this little highlight here. So let's bring the blacks down a bit more. In the middle here, a bit more subtle. So I think more or less to there. What I am seeing here is maybe the outer gradient is introducing too much of a vignette effect. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But in terms of the black and white edit, let's just zoom into 100% there. Pretty good. We have a quick look here. Oh, what did I? Oh yeah, okay. So, no, can't do before or after there. Anyway, so in terms of the black and white edit, I'm actually quite happy there. I think let's just do a undo quickly. So we'll do Command Z. So that was. Ooh, no, that didn't definitely not go as planned. So let's just reset the levels. So that was the initial black and white. So that was the initial black and white conversion. Then we used the black and white module to enhance that a little bit, but it was still very, very flat. And then we used levels to really add some nice black and white contrast to the image. And noise-wise, I'm happy. Grain, I think I mentioned it before, and black and white images, I'm quite a fan of. So yeah, that is that's more or less that. I think time-wise, let's leave it there again. Yeah. So thanks for sticking with me once again. I think it feels like I'm talking at 100 miles an hour, but for some reason I just don't manage to get my my time down. If you have some tips and tricks, please let me know. But yeah, I quite enjoyed showing you guys Photomator. I'm definitely going to be playing a bit more around in it. It is super, super fast, intuitive, and works really well. There are some things like that are not as sophisticated as in programs like Lightroom or DxO Photolab, etc. But it has come a long way, and if you guys want to check out the website, they do have some exciting stuff on the roadmap. So yeah, definitely check it out, and I will see you in the next weekly edit. Thank you very much.